It's Subverted Tropes, a podcast about movies, featuring your hosts Daniel Spencer and Kate Harlow. Welcome to another episode of Subverted Tropes. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kate.
And today we're going to be talking about the 1985 classic Teen Wolf.
Yeah, this is not, as you might recall, the non-existent 1985 MTV series, the movie.
Yes, we're talking about the movie Teen Wolf starring Michael J. Fox.
Yes.
So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive right into it.
All right, hit me with it.
All right, so it's 1984, and the movie Valley Girl had just come out, and it was fairly inexpensive to make, but it was critically successful.
Right.
So Atlantic Entertainment Group was very impressed by it and decided we want to do kind of the same thing. Let's make a cheap movie that's going to get a lot of butts in seats, and we'll make bank. This will be great. Then two recent film school grads approached them. Their names were Jeff Loeb and Matthew Weissman, and they pitched the idea of Teen Wolf to Atlantic Entertainment Group, and in 10 minutes, Atlantic Entertainment Group said, yep, good, sold, greenlit, go, let's do it, let's make it.
Good judgment. Good stuff.
Very good judgment. I think this went over very well for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they greenlit the project and decided that they wanted Michael J. Fox to be the star of it.
Okay.
So what they did was they said, okay, well, Loeb, Weissman, you guys have a great idea here. Write the script and make it fast before Family Ties begins shooting again, because we need him to agree to this, and film it before that starts up in 3.5 weeks.
They pitched it, they didn't have it written, and then you needed to write it and film all of it?
That is correct.
Oh, great.
They were like, hey, we've got this idea about a teen wolf. Great, yep, I love it. Let's go, let's make it.
That's beautiful. That's great. Good.
So they worked with Michael J. Fox to make sure that he was interested in it and able to do it. And he was. We'll get back to that in a minute. That, during production, backfired on him a little bit.
Okay.
But at that point, that's when they started looking for directors.
Okay.
They interviewed a lot of directors and asked them in the interview, what is this movie about?
I feel like that's not the director's job.
It isn't, but the answer was what got director Rod Daniel the job.
What was his answer?
Well, most of the directors said that it was about a werewolf, but Rod Daniel said, well, it's about a father and son.
Oh.
And they hired him immediately.
Okay.
This movie, I would not say is about a father and son. There's a father and son in it.
I don't remember all of it that well.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that I don't consciously have a memory. Like, I know parts of it, but I don't remember all of it all that well. So.
I'm the same way.
Okay.
So we'll address that when we get back after watching this, but we're not going to watch it yet. So yeah, the production itself of filming and everything started and finished in 21 days.
Wowie.
3 weeks. And they were all done in 3 weeks.
I mean...
They decided they wanted good actors to play these high school kids.
Okay.
They decided to hire older actors to play these high school kids.
You know, I feel like most high schoolers would be better if they were older people too. So
Agreed. They decided, we've got these important characters, so let's make the youngest of these high school actors 23 years old.
Good.
And that was
Good
Michael
call.
J. Fox.
Good call.
They also had Mark Holton, who plays the character Chubby. Mark Holton was 26. Jerry Levine and Susan Ursitti, who played Styles and Boof.
I hate that name so much.
They were both 27, trying to play 17 and 18-year-olds. And then Mark Arnold, who played Mick, also 27, but that's a bit more excusable because he was playing a 20-year-old who was still in high school. Due to having done time.
Amazing.
Yes. And so the guy who plays Michael J. Fox's character's father, that actor's name is James Hampton, and he originally auditioned for the role of the coach.
Oh, okay.
But they liked him so much that they said, you know what we would like you to do? We would like for you to play the father. James Hampton agreed to this, not realizing the makeup that he was going to have to wear.
Oh, Lord, no.
The man is incredibly claustrophobic.
Oh, no.
And he had to sit. It took 4.5 hours for them to apply the makeup.
Oh, no.
And then he was so constricted that he had to eat milkshakes and soup.
Oh, no.
And that was it. He could not eat any solid foods.
Oh, no.
It apparently took him 30 seconds at the end of the day to rip all of that makeup off.
Oh, wow.
Because he was just ready to get it gone.
Oh, poor guy.
So I guess maybe we should take a minute and kind of give a brief synopsis of the film. So from my recollection, it's a movie about a teenager who finds out he's a werewolf and uses this to his advantage socially and I don't think academically, but physically, like in sports.
Yeah, I think that's the most of it.
And then it somehow backfires. I can't quite remember, but we'll talk about it when we get back from watching this movie. I do know that there's a lot of basketball scenes.
That's pretty much the only thing that really sticks out in my memory.
Yeah.
I know there's a thing about car surfing.
Oh, we'll get to the car surfing, too.
Yeah.
So there's car surfing. And, yeah, let's go ahead and get to that now, and then we'll talk about basketball in a minute. Jerry Levine, I don't know how you say his name, the guy who played Styles, didn't have a stunt double for the car surfing scenes. Instead, he got up there. He was attached to the van by a wire, but was actually him driving around. Like, the van was actually driving around the streets, and he was actually surfing on top of it, which is impressive.
The 80s were a simpler time.
The 80s were a time where no one gave a shit.
Yeah.
And I kind of miss that.
Me too.
I say that like I experienced it. I was alive for 2 years of the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A year and 8 months, really.
Yeah. But you didn't give a shit that whole time.
Actually, I was a baby. I probably shit a lot.
You did nothing but
Probably
shit.
a lot. Exactly. Yeah. Cry and shit. Maybe it was me who ruined the 80s for everybody.
You were just so intense about all of the shit.
Jeez. I would like to issue an apology to everyone in the 80s for having ruined them with all of my shit.
They had no choice except for to start the 90s.
You know what I think I've realized? This podcast is just us saying incriminating things to get us sued. I think I'm going to have a class action lawsuit filed against me
On
for
behalf
those
of
who
the
love
80s?
the 80s.
Yeah, well, they can't prove it.
I mean, I just admitted to it here.
I'm pretty sure they can't use it in a court of law.
Well, let's hope not. I think Apple has good lawyers to say anything said in a podcast is not. This is a fictional podcast. There we go.
Ha-ha!
Nothing in this podcast actually happens. All of these movies are made up.
I don't think that works.
No, see,
either.
that doesn't work either. Well,
Any personal statements by the hosts of this podcast can't be held for truth.
that's right. They're not admissions of guilt.
Wink.
I just did a raised eyebrows thing, but I realized that does not play in podcasts.
It doesn't.
Let's get back to this. So the basketball scenes, this may surprise you, that wasn't actually Michael J. Fox playing b-ball in the makeup.
No?
No. Now, that was him playing basketball outside of the makeup.
In his regular skin suit?
In his regular skin suit.
Okay.
You may have noticed he wasn't great.
I'm gonna say yes, but I'm saying that purely because I think that's the plot of the movie and not because I recollect it for truth.
Fair. Michael J. Fox was a little bit bothered by stunt double Jeff Glosser just being amazing on court, which he realized, I guess, was a little silly because they were choreographed basketball scenes.
What kind of ego do you have to have?
It gets worse.
Oh, God, go on.
Michael J. Fox requested that they shoot some basketball footage with him in the makeup, not choreographed. All of these actors playing basketball.
Just hey everybody,
Just to give it a little bit more realism.
Hey guys, we're just gonna play a quick game of pickup. Just no, ignore the cameras. It's fine.
They agreed to it. They said, yeah, sure, let's do it. I'll point out to you when we're watching it where those scenes are. Except I won't, because none of it was used, because it was unusably terrible. Rod Daniel says that somewhere in a vault is the worst sports footage ever shot, which is that unchoreographed basketball.
I will see that and raise him that somewhere there is footage of me playing youth soccer.
See, I want to watch that. I want to watch that footage. I want to watch both of those pieces of footage, let's be honest. And I would love to apply that to other sports movies. Let's take all the actors in Miracle.
Let's get all the actors in Rudy.
And have them play hockey or football and just, go for it. See how you do.
But see, nowadays there are so many people who are like, Jennifer Lawrence trained with an Olympian archer to get real experience for how to be an archer for the Hunger Games. Like, crap.
That's a good point. So then let's backtrack that to the days of, let's go to
the
Hoosiers.
80s when everything was simple.
I would love to see the actors in Hoosiers playing basketball unchoreographed.
Okay.
I would love to see, you know what? Let's put it on. Here we go. I'm issuing a challenge right now to the Harlem Globetrotters.
You're really trying to get us sued.
I am.
Stop it. We're poor.
I challenge the Harlem Globetrotters.
I do not.
To play a game
against Scooby-Doo.
Against Scooby-Doo. That's gonna make this challenge a lot more difficult.
That's the only way we can win.
I am challenging the Harlem Globetrotters to play a game of basketball against not the Washington Generals, but a real basketball team.
Sick burn.
See how that goes.
Okay.
My guess is not great.
But I prefer to see I would like to see the Washington Generals choreograph themselves.
To win a game?
I would just like to see them do some sick ball tricks, like the Globetrotters.
That's fair. Let's take a break and watch this movie, and then come back and talk about it, and I'll go through the rest of the facts that I have.
Bye.
All right. Well, we'll be right back. Let's all go to the lobby. And we are back.
So that was awful.
That I did not remember it being that bad.
Me either, but if I think about it critically, I guess I'm not really surprised. But wow, that was real bad.
Yeah. Ooh. I remembered it being campy and cheesy and fun. It was none of that. It was just bad.
Have our definitions of what's campy and fun changed?
It's possible.
Maybe.
But
still, though.
Taking a look at it, critics agree with us.
Oh, good.
Vincent Canby of the New York Times said that this movie was aggressively boring and said that it is overacted by everybody except Mr. Fox, who is seen to far better advantage in Back to the Future.
Yes.
Because here's the fun thing. When this movie was being filmed, Back to the Future hadn't come out yet, hadn't started.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't a thing.
It wasn't a thing, but Back to the Future was released before Teen Wolf.
How is it humanly possible that they filmed it in 3 weeks and then took that much longer to make it actually get to were they trying to make it better through editing? Because it wasn't going to happen.
I think the idea was that they wanted to delay the release to be released in October because it's kind of spooky, but it's really spoopy.
It's not even spoopy.
It's not even spoopy.
Spoopy gives it credit that it does not deserve. It hasn't earned spoopy.
No, it definitely has not.
Wait, also, can we define spoopy for people? Because I feel like that's not really a term that I knew about until more recently.
Please do yourself a favor and just Google Tumblr spoopy, and you will, if you're anything like me, laugh until you cry.
Yeah,
Similarly, yard sard.
Can't wait until we have a home.
Oh, we're going to have yard sards all the time.
Yeah, we are.
I'm going to require at least 5 different yard sard signs.
I feel like we're going to have better signage for our yard sards than we are going to have material for the yard sards themselves.
Yes, definitely. We're going to be selling entertainment, and it's really just going to be a show. We're going to do a live show in our front yard called Yard Sard. New podcast.
Yard sard, front yard sard. I'm so excited.
All right.
The cat just gave us the dirtiest look.
Michael J. Fox actually knew that down the street Steven Spielberg was starting to make Back to the Future, and he wanted to be in it. And he complained during the production of Teen Wolf because he hated the movie as they were making it. He realized that it was a piece of crap.
Oh, so like he was really excited about it, and then he was like, "Oh my god, what did I get into?"
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
which is
like
why he's
me
not
in
in the
college.
sequel. Exactly, like you in college. Like me in our relationship. No, I'm kidding.
Get the fuck out of my house.
All right, bye.
No, come back. No, honey. Honey. Welcome to Subverted Tropes.
All right, I'm back.
Came right through the door.
That's right. I didn't even bother to own it. Michael J. Fox said, Steven Spielberg is down the street making great movies, and I'm here being a fucking werewolf. Was very unhappy. And they actually approached him to be in the sequel. They wanted to continue the story of Scott Howard. And he said, hell no. It's a full moon, and I've got to turn into a werewolf. So I can't do it, but...
Amazing.
No. He just said, no, that's there's no way you're going to get me in this picture.
I would rather you beat me to death with a silver cane.
Oh, the way you walk is thorny. Through no fault of your own. I'm going to back up from the mic before I say this next part because it's going to be very loud. Uspenskaya! It
Yep.
still registered pretty loud.
And the cat gave you another dirty look for that.
She did. That was a reference to the 1941 classic The Wolf Man, one of my favorites, with Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr., and the inimitable Maria Uspenskaya. But that's a significantly better werewolf movie than this one. So let's talk for a minute about the infamous last shot of the movie.
Peen watch.
Hashtag Peen Watch. If you pause it at the right time, you'll be able to see someone with their pants unzipped.
It is argued, and I remember this is one of the few things that I remembered before we actually rewatched. I remembered about this that it was suggested that somebody had whipped their dick out. We did take the time to pause and look for it. Some enterprising person out there on the internet had actually gotten like the high resolution laser disc and like zoomed in on it, and they think it's just like their shirt tail.
Yeah, so
About that.
I actually looked into that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Is it just a very, very square penis?
No.
I'm sorry, triangular penis.
So it's funny you say that because it wasn't a man. That was a female actress,
Oh.
an extra whose pants were too tight.
Oh,
So
no.
every time she sat down or stood up, she had to unbutton and unzip her pants so that she could actually move and not rip them. So she was standing up and refastening her pants at the time that they were shooting. She didn't realize the camera was able to see her, and no one in the studio realized that either as they were cutting the film.
That legitimately seems like a time when you should be allowed to go to wardrobe and say, "Excuse me, I think I need different pants."
Right.
Or maybe one of those ridiculously retro cheerleader costumes. Those skirts were huge.
Yes. So let's talk about the tropes in this movie. There's a lot.
A principal has a grudge against a student because of long-standing feud with father.
I wish I were special. I wish I weren't special anymore.
I loved you before you were special.
I didn't pay attention to you because you're not the hot blonde.
I'm paying attention to you because you're special now.
I realize that I don't like you anymore, hot blonde.
Son, you need to learn your lessons the hard way.
Hey, I'm a sports guy, and I'm a dick.
I'm a cool guy, and I'm wearing sunglasses.
I'm your romantic rival, and I'm a dick.
I'm the dorky character, and I'm overweight, and I sweat a lot.
Yeah, let's not even take into account the...
I also look like a fucking narc because I'm fucking 30.
Just first of all, why are you going to name your character Chubby? It's terrible.
Almost as bad as Boof.
Boof. Yeah, so Boof is a terrible, terrible name. And Chubby is a bad name for the chubby dude. Played by Mark Holton, who you might know better from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
Just hilarious. Oh, and of course the you can succeed without your magic feather. The magic feather was just a gag. You know, from Dumbo, and there's because he can fly without the magic feather because it wasn't really magic, and as it turns out, Scott's able to sink that important last shot without turning into the wolf.
Yes.
Spoiler. Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry, we just spoiled a movie from 1987.
Yeah, it's 1985.
Fuck.
It's a 32-year-old movie and isn't good, so don't watch it.
Yeah, don't. Just save yourself the trouble.
It's not even
really
like enjoyably
awful.
bad.
Like there's just there are just bizarre music cues, and like the soundtrack is fucking weird, and like
It promotes underage drinking.
it promotes like not entirely consensual, which is to say non-consensual sexual activity. Like it's fucked.
There's a lot of yeah.
All of the adults have something extraordinarily wrong with their brains. It's just so wrong. It's just bad.
So let's give this movie a rating. On a scale of 0 to 100, I'm going to give it a 27 because that's how old most of those actors were.
I'm on board with that. I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it a mange out of a healthy adoptable puppy because werewolf movies have potential, and this was just a pile of shit.
Pile of shit. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us.
Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on iTunes and Podbean. We are on
Stitcher.
And Stitcher. We are on Twitter at Subverted Tropes. You can drop us any emails, suggest movies. We are at subvertedtropecast@gmail.com, and check out our blog at subvertedtropecast@wordpress.com.
All right, that's great. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really enjoy having you here. And we're excited for our next movie, which I believe is going to be Them.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. And like, subscribe, tell your friends. And if you don't, then, if you don't like us, then don't bother. Don't tell people.
Yeah, don't tell people, but please keep listening.